Hey everybody, how you doing? This is about to be a really fun video. The title of this video is going to be something to the effect of my two most expensive bullet slingers that I've ever bought. One of them I regret getting. One of them I don't regret getting. And but I'm never going to get rid of either one of them. Even though the one I regret, and we'll get to that a little bit here further down in the video, why I regret that I got it. But I'm going to show you both of these. We're going to go through some footage and some cool stuff that we've done with them. But first, let's start with the smaller one. Smaller in all things. Length, cartridge, caliber, weight, all the above. Smaller. Even though it's the smallest one of the two, it's still pretty big. 338 Lapua Magnum. This right here, this is my Savage 110 BA Stealth in 338 Lapua. So it's pretty long. I think this is a 26-inch barrel. That's the factory break that came from Savage. What do I have on top? I've got a Crimson Trace Hardline Pro. This is one of the best optics available from Crimson Trace. I got quite a long time ago, 338 Lapua Magnum. If you want to stretch it out, you got to have a scope on it with some clickies and some dialies. It's been so long since I had this one out. Yeah, it does have a reticle in it. The reticle has 6 mils up, down, left, and right of holdover in the reticle. Is that first focal plane? Yes, it is. But yeah, 338 Lapua Magnum. Now, what in the world have I done with this? Why did I even get it? Well, probably 4 years ago. You guys watch the show, know my buddy Heavy Metal Paul. The goal was, you know what? I'm gonna have videos of everything. And one of the ones I didn't have yet, guess what? 338 Lapua Magnum. I went to Paul's shop, said, hey, order me up the cheapest 338 Lapua Magnum. So he goes to blooping on his computer. The cheapest one was a Savage single shot. I forget the name of it. 110 Precision or 110 something or other. Single shot, 338 Lapua Magnum. And I said, well, I really don't want a single shot. What's the next cheapest? 338 Lapua Magnum. It was this. Savage 110 BA Stealth. I mean, it's pretty slick. Fluted barrel, factory break. Trigger on this. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can show you the trigger. You triple check that everything is out of this. Trigger is fantastic on this thing. And this is out of the box. I did not adjust this. See if I can show you. Ooh, you barely breathe on this dude. And shazang. Very light trigger on there. And it's probably under 2 pounds. And that's how it got out of the box. But because of good trigger, Savage 110, good reputation. Thin group's good. Let me find a clip of doing some groups with this thing. Not only does it group good, came with a lot of doodads, M-lock, pick rail here. I've done lots of stuff with this. Precision stuff, I told you. We've done 1,000 yards with this. Let me roll in. I've got a 1,000-yard hit on a, top of a plate like that. Let me roll that in. I think I've even knocked over steel plates at 1,000 yards with this thing. Impact. Impact. 1,000 yards with this is just too easy. But yeah, there you saw the footage of this at 1,000 yards. I took my very first mule deer with this. So that's another reason why this is a pretty special one. Shout out to my buddy, the Adventure Cowboy. Took me out in Montana after my very first mule deer with this thing. I actually missed with this, and my buddy Clayton from the Adventure Cowboy channel captured some pretty cool footage. Let me roll this in, and then we'll roll in some footage of the deer.
You're sure he's down?
Oh, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes!
Well, folks, we got it done. Mr. WHOTEEWHO from the WHOTEEWHO YouTube channel came out west for his first time and wanted to do some elk and deer hunting with me. And we've done both. Sure enough. 175?
Yep, 175.
175 yard shot with a rifle that shoots 1,500 yards. Pretty easy.
So yeah, 338 Lapua. Group's fantastic. The bulots are crazy expensive. $5-6 every time you squeeze the trigger. Did it at 1,000 yards. Took a deer with it. Pretty much done everything with this rig that I set out to do. And I haven't had it out at the range in quite a long time. Probably need to change that. This, however, is not the one that I regret picking up. Let me show you the one that I regret picking up. Not this one, not the 338 Lapua Magnum, but one that's even bigger. And let me show you it, and then we'll get into why. Let me set this down over here. So, there's not much bigger than that one. You know what? I completely forgot about one. I was going to talk about the two most expensive that I've ever bought. And I completely slipped my mind on one that was more expensiver than that one. So stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'll show you that surprise one. This 338 Lapua is actually the third most expensive one I ever picked up. Don't regret it. Never get rid of that one. But there's actually one that's the number 2 that I completely forgot about until now. Somebody remind me to put it at the end of the video. Make sure you stay to the end. But this is the one. Both of them are actually bigger caliber than the 338 Lapua Magnum. But this is the one right here that I would say I regret picking up. I'll still never get rid of it, but I regret picking it up, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But this one is so heavy. This box right here is so heavy. But this thing, check it out. It came with its own Pelican case. If you know anything about Pelican cases, this Pelican 1750 right here probably costs like $500-600 just for the case. It's the only Pelican case I have. In my opinion, Pelican cases are kind of overpriced, but it's kind of like a Harley Davidson. A little bit you pay in the name. They're good cases, don't get me wrong, but they're very expensive. But this case is so heavy, my wife probably couldn't pick it up. Anyways, I haven't had this thing open in like 2 years probably. But let me get it open. Actually, let me set it down and get the thing out, and then I'll show you. Oh, there you go. Here it is. This is my Barrett M99. If you're not familiar, it's a single shot bullpup. This one is a 50 BMG. They make the M99. This is the one with the big old huge break on the front. It says Barrett. They make the M99. Man, it's wearing me out just holding this thing up. Last time I had this out, I think I was a lot stronger. I'm about to be out of breath just getting out of the case. But they make this in 50 BMG. And also the 416 Barrett. I think it's 416. But yeah. This thing hasn't seen the light of day in like 2 years. 50 BMG. I've got a pretty nice Zero Tech on there with 24 zoomies. Zero Tech Thrive HD. Good scope. Barrett rings. Those rings cost $200 just for the Barrett rings. Pretty interesting, actually, if you want to do some reading on it. These are Barrett highly precision rings called Zero Stop, where they're machines where you actually, there's absolutely no, not zero stop, zero gap rings from Barrett. There's absolutely no gap. They machine it like down to the bazillionths of an inch. So it's perfectly grabbing your scope. The most expensive rings I've ever bought in my life. But the guy at the Barrett place seemed to think that I needed those and convinced me that I needed those. I actually had a cheap $99 scope on this for a long time. Probably did 100 rounds with that cheap $99 scope. Then I finally put a nicer Zero Tech on it. But back in the what I would call the heyday of YouTube, which was 4 or 5 years ago, I'd say 2019, 2020. Back in those days, I could pretty much film myself sneezing and the video would get 100,000 views at least. Nowadays, I have to actually, sit back and think and come up with good ideas, and half the time clickbait people into watching the videos. But back then, you could just make a good, cool video and tons of people would watch it. Now it's a lot harder to get views and so on and so forth. But anyways, back to the story of the 50 BMG. These aren't cheap. Not cheap at all. When I got this thing, they were $4 grand. And I'm broke today. I was broke back then. But I convinced my wife. I said, all the cool YouTubers, again now this is 4 or 5 years ago, I said, all the big cool YouTubers, they all got 50 BMGs. We get a 50 BMG, it's going to make us a bunch of money, and that's going to be the hot ticket that's going to launch us into being famous YouTubers. Put it on the credit card, we'll pay it off eventually, whatever. And that's what we did. This cost more than my cars that we were driving, so it was a big deal to go put this on a credit card and just hope and pray that it launched our YouTube channel into ultimate success and this will be the next greatest thing. That didn't happen. I went back and added up every single video that I had this in, and it never even paid for itself. So people think, oh, you make YouTube videos, you must be a bazillionaire. That's not true. I literally added up every single video where this thing showed up, which is like probably 50 videos. It never even paid for itself with ad revenue. So it took, whatever, year to pay off the credit card. And this was never even worth it. None of the videos ever went viral or got 1 million views. But needless to say, this is the one that I regret picking up. It didn't launch us into ultimate fame. Now, I do have some cool videos with this thing. Let me roll in a couple. Let me try to find some just grouping with this thing. How good can it group? So, this thing has a pretty heavy trigger, but it is possible to get good groups with this thing. What else did we do? Did a clay block with this thing. Got a big old ball of clay and hit it with this thing from 100 yards. That was pretty cool. Check this out. There's a video where I take a bunch of fruit out with this at 100 yards, even a lime or lemon. I think it was a lime with this thing. Check it out. So really, this really is a precision instrument, you know. This is the most expensive bullet slinger I've ever got. Like I said, $4 on a credit card. Not to mention the ammo I got for it at the same time, which was like another 500 bucks. Yeah. But this thing never even paid for itself. And another interesting fact, there have been a lot of people come out of the woodwork to say, oh, I want to see you shoot a deer with 50 BMG. Come out to my place and we'll do it. And guess what? Every year they like either forget or, you know, don't have time, or, oh, I'm too busy. Now, I don't even want to take a deer with this, but that was like on the board at one point in time, film a deer hunt with this. Now we got way too many other things to try to take a deer with than this thing. But this is the one that I regret picking up. Everybody thinks it's cool. Anytime I take it to the range, I always ask everybody, do you want to check this out? You know, take it for a spin. And people really get a kick out of it. There's another footage of my wife taking the fling with this. That video is probably the best video as far as views went that this ever did. Let me show you that real quick. But yeah, everybody loves to see this at the range. People get a kick out of it, you know, getting to take it for a spin. And that's cool, you know. More power to you. I love taking this to the range and letting people enjoy it, because I probably got all the enjoyment I've ever got out of this. And it never even paid for itself. But this thing by itself weighs over 30 pounds. Is it cool? Yeah, I guess so. But this is the one that I regret. I'll still never get rid of it. But let me show you the actual second most expensive bullet slinger I ever picked up. And I'll tell you a little bit about it. Hold on, I'll be right back. This was the one I regret and was the most expensive. 330 Lapua Magnum is the third most, and it is actually pretty cool. Let me show you the second most expensive one. Let me just go grab it and show you. Well, we went out after some deer this morning, and we didn't get any deer, but we're still going to have fun and shoot the 50.
Let me find my dot again. I want to lose you there.
I'm going to cover my ears.
Yeah. There it is. Okay, I found it. Fire in the hole.
What do you think? It don't kick that bad, does it?
No.
I felt it.
Oh, I messed up by about that much.
Alright, so this is the true second most expensive one. When I started making this video, in my head the 338 Lapua was. This is the second most expensive one. This one's pretty rare. 99.9% of y'all watching this video have never even heard of this one, probably, unless you've seen it on my videos. But let me just show you first. So first off, really nice wood. I got a chink in that. Man. So right there off the bat, Sako. It does have some chinks in it already, unfortunately. Sako quality, I mean, my goodness. Screams awesomeness. The wood is awesome. Has these giant, what do you call those? Bolts or whatever through it. Because it has so much recoil that it has to have those so the thing doesn't fall apart when the round goes off. Think I'm kidding, I'm not. But yeah, extremely smooth bolt. One of the best, smoothest bolts of anything I've ever owned. Really nice cheek piece on there. Metal, not plastic, metal there. Going up front, iron sights, and a hooded front sight. Look at how big that hole is in the end though, guys. This is another 50 cal. That's big. 50 cal. What in the world is this? This is, I don't think they make this anymore either, a Sako 85 XL in 500 Jeffrey. Let me just show you the box of ammo. It's hard to get a hold of the ammo for this thing. The ammo literally has a picture of an elephant on it. Yeah. I'll show you the box right here. 500 Jeffrey. These are solid projectiles. 540 grain projectile. So you think 308 30-06 is normally a 150 grain or a 180, sometimes up to 220. This is 540 grain. I did the math one time right when I got it. This has the energy of two 30-06s, I believe. So, yeah, 7,000 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. 7,000 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. That's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I've done some cool stuff with the 500 Jeffrey. From the shoulder, 100 yards. I think I've got a clip of that. Felt like we squeezed it a little bit low. Felt pretty good about that one. I feel pretty good that I'm ready to turn the cameras off and stop this video too. So that was a bullseye. Clay blocks with the 500 Jeffrey. I think I got a clip of that. But how did I end up with the 500 Jeffrey? Random story. So my phone rings. One of my buddies, who also makes videos. He said, "Man, I got something you might like." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Long story short, I just walked into my shop. There was a guy who was going on a safari to Africa. And then all this, you know, stuff happened. I think 3 or 4 years ago, you know, China and all that stuff, you know, all that stuff. I'm not going to say it because, you know, whatever. People don't, the internet will shut you down when you talk about that stuff nowadays. Anyways, so he couldn't go to Africa. So he sold it back to the shop. And the shop guy said, "What in the devil am I going to do with this?" Long story short, my buddy tells the shop owner and says, "I got a buddy who will probably buy that if you give him a really good deal." So I ended up getting this at close to half off retail. 500 Jeffrey. I never would have picked one up unless I got a smoking hot deal on one. And I got a smoking hot deal on one. I'll never take a rifle because that elephant, because that costs a fortune to do that these days. But I have something that could do it in a 500 Jeffrey. Sako 85 XL. Like I said, super smooth bolt. Like, this thing is so well made. It's just ridiculous. But I've more or less done everything that I could do with this, or at least had ideas for yet. Yeah. 500 Jeffrey. I don't regret getting that one either, just because I think it's cool and it's weird and I like weird stuff. But hey, This video's probably gone on way too long already. Appreciate you guys watching. I've got zero plans to get any of these 3 back out for videos. So if you have video ideas, definitely comment them down below. I think I'm still out of breath from that 50 BMG. Man, I'm getting old and weak. I need to hit the gym. But hey, appreciate y'all watching. Random video idea. Yeah. Anyways, appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Hooty hoo!